Well, Annie asked me a couple of weeks ago to talk about Latvia, and I was sick last week, so I didn't make it. So now I'm taking Steve's place. And the first question I want to ask, what do you think a person like me is doing 8,000 miles away doing God's work in a little country right next to Russia? Why would God ask me to go?
Because he knows a good thing when he sees it.
Well, I asked myself that many times in January and February, March, after Randy asked me to go, and I prayed about it and read verses. And you know how God works. The first time I went, I knew why I was going. I had met them over here 2 years before that, and then, or 3 years, 4 years before that, before COVID, and then COVID hit, all that. But this time I didn't know why I was going. I didn't understand why God would want me to go back. And I prayed about it and read, and you know how God works. Every time you get in the Bible and you start reading the Bible and God is trying to tell you to do something, it always comes to that. It seems like in your head, you think, the ones I read, asking you shall be given you, seeking you shall find, knocking the door will open. That's Matthew 7:7. And that doesn't have anything to do with me, but when I read that, God said, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, buddy. And throughout the Bible, in many places, and I'm big on prayer, I have to admit. I think that's the only way you get to talk to God, and I really believe in prayer, and that's when God tells you what he wants you to do. And another one is in Romans 8:26. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And that's the way God works, folks. Now, I didn't know why I was going, but I knew God wanted me to go. And I didn't know till I got back why God wanted me to go. And I'm not going into detail what we did over there. You're going to hear a lot about that. But I'll go into a little bit about what we did. Every morning we'd pray. We'd get in a circle. After we had coffee, and we'd pray. And then we'd go out and we went to the elderly home. We went to a place where the after-school ministry and we went to Hope Center. Hope Center's for young ladies that are pregnant can go if they don't have a home. If they're homeless, can go. And we went to all these different places. And after we'd go that night, every night, and usually we'd get back about 9:30 to 10:30. Of course, it doesn't get dark till 11:30 over there. So we didn't know, we were just doing and going, and it gets daylight before 4, so you just go and go. But every night we would meet where we lived. We lived in what they call a hostel, which is we would call a dorm. In one room there'll be 3 beds, another room there'll be 2, and they'll have one bathroom for those 2 rooms. And a bathroom is just a toilet and a sink. if you got to go down the hall to shower, and there's 2 shower rooms down the hall, and so it's the people that are there. They have colleges there and technical schools there, and the people that are in those schools, they stay there during the year. But this time of year, there are not many of them there. Okay, so that's where we stay. But we'd meet there, and the first thing we'd do is say, "Where did you see God today?" So we would say where we saw God that day. Okay. And the second day we were there, well, which was Sunday, the first Sunday we were there, and there was this young man. He was 14, Marcus, and he's the lay leader's son, and he just took to me for some reason, and I don't know why. He's 14, 13, 14. He's the same age as Liz Brown, within a few months of the same age, and he took to me, and we talked. In Latvia, the young people can talk English, okay, because they watch TV. They get on the internet, and they get on YouTube, and they get on Facebook, and so they know how to speak English. And he spoke good English, fairly good, and he kind of took to me. And the next day, we went to the elderly home in Liepaja, which is just about 3 miles away. And on the top floor of first day we went to the Hope Center. Hope Center is on the top floor with the ladies and their kids. And the bottom floor is a church, Liepaja Methodist Church. And they're the ones that have the after-school program. And it was fixed to be over. And we knew the lady that ran it for 15 years, so we wanted to give her, going away presents, and first one thing and another. But we get there, and we're going to be playing with the kids, the after-school kids. But it's not after school because the school was over, but they all came anyway, okay, for this celebration of Viva. And there was Micahs. And Micahs brought a friend of his who was Gabriel. And we played with the kids, and we just had the best time, and we did this and did that, and ate pizza, and just had the best time. And he just hung me like glue. And even Gabriel, who's older than him, Gabriel was finishing the 9th grade. And in Latvia, when you finish the 9th grade, you can go to technical school, or you can start the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Some of them go, if you're going to go to the university, you go to 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then go to the university. If you're going to be in a technical school, after the 9th grade, you go to technical school. It depends on what you're going to go for. It's somewhere between 2 and 4 years. And Gabriel was going to technical school, fixing to go to technical school to be an electrician. And he hung to me like glue too. And I said, what are these kids? And what I realized, and this went on. We went to the elderly home, and this young lady was there. She went with us, and her name is Eve, and she is Elga's, which Elga is one of the leaders of the church. Eve happens to be Elga's, okay, let me get this right. See, in Latvia, godmothers and godfathers are big. Everybody has a godmother and a godfather. Well, this is This is Elga's goddaughter's daughter, okay? Pretty young lady. She's 10. I mean, she's going into 12th grade, I think, this year. And she was there. And she speaks perfect English. In fact, she says like all the time, just like all our kids, you know. In fact, I started, every time she'd say like, I'd say like. And she'd go on, like, and just messing with her, you know. And we talked, and because all these, you know, me, I want to be able to have an interpreter real close because I want to talk to these people. The next day, Eve came, and she brought a friend. Okay, and this friend was a little younger than, about Gabriel's age probably. She was in the 9th, 10th grade. And she brought a friend, and we just had such a good time together. Now, these are young people, folks. These are young people. And Liz was there, and they intermingled with Liz. Of course, Liz got they're doing it now. You know, they're talking to each other and going on, but they always asking me questions about this, about that. And let me go back to when we first got there. Of course, you know me, I'm wearing my hat. And one of the ladies, Christina, who used to be the pastor, still goes to Thesis Church, but she's not the pastor anymore. I told her that I probably wouldn't be wearing the hat because I don't want to stand out. And she says, no, I want you to wear that hat all the time. Okay. You know, so I wore it all the time because Christina, which I think the world of, and her husband. Now, were those kids hanging on and talking to me because I was an American, because I was different? Why were those young people hanging just around me all the time? You know, we worked Thursday and Friday of that week, and there was Gabriel and Micah right there working with us. And it doesn't matter why those people were with us, those kids. But they even came back to the where we were staying, hostel, and was with us in our devotional time. We had a devotional too, but we all talked and we had a devotional. And I asked Micah, what do you got to say? Where do you see God today? And he spoke right up and talked, and Gabriel spoke right up and talked and where he saw God today. And I don't know if Gabriel knew about God or not, but he talked. And Christina, after all that, she says that's the first time she'd ever heard Micah talk about God. That was the very first time, and she'd known him since he was just a kid. And of course, then there's Daniel. Daniel is a gentleman. When they started going, was about this tall. He's married with a little girl. He's pretty close to my height now. He's late 20s probably. Same way with him. And it's just so uplifting. And I didn't really realize it till I got back home. And Sandra wouldn't let me go anywhere. I think God sent me over there for those young kids, those young people. why would they send a old man like me? And why did those kids just take to me so fast? Because I was wearing a hat. All of them put the hat on. I guarantee you, every one of them, I got pictures of Eve putting the hat on. But I realized God, that's what God does. God doesn't tell you why. He just asks you to go. And don't ever think an excuse will make a difference. In my walk many times, somebody asked me to do something. I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to do that. That's my first excuse. How many of us have had that excuse before? I'm not qualified. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you something. You don't have to be qualified. God will qualify you on your journey, okay? No matter what it is. God will qualify you. The things to say, the people to go up to, God has it. All you have to do is have the nerve to say, I will go. You know, it's many times in this lifetime, you don't understand why you're going to do something. I couldn't explain to Sandra before I left why I was going. Okay? She really didn't want me to go. I don't think.
I didn't care.
But she
No, I mean, I didn't care.
she paid my ticket, my airline ticket to get over there. And I realized why God wanted me to go. And if it was because we were Americans and we were different, and those young people came to us, and they just kept coming and just kept wanting to see what everything was about. And every time, even her little friend, I forget her name, they were with us during where we saw God at night. Every time. I don't care if we didn't get back till 10:30 at night, we would have the devotional that night. And we would talk about where we saw God. And over there, you see God everywhere you look. Okay, everything you do, you know. And God is the same over there as He is here. And that's the key. God is the same God. He works exactly the same over there as He does over here. And over there, those people, they call us the rich Americans for a reason. Okay? Don't have a lot, but they love the Lord as much as we do. They depend on the Lord probably more than we do. And they give to the Lord just as much as we do. And the last Sunday we were there, of course, on Thursday and Friday, we put floor down in the church. The Stacey's church lost electricity, okay? They heat with wood, but they have to have a fan, electric fan, to blow into this. A lot of people heat with wood over there, though. So it's nothing new, but they have to have a fan to blow into that to circulate through radiators. They have radiators all over the place, and all you old people know what radiators are, right? Those things on the wall that get hot, and you know. Well, electricity went off, they didn't know it, and it blew all those radiators. And it didn't just blow them on the floor beside it. It blew them across the room. When it blew, those radiators blew across the room. So we painted, we put down flooring, we did this, we did that. And, but they had insurance, to get this done. And that's what we were doing. We were trying to save a little money by doing it ourselves. And, but that last day, that last Sunday, we were fixing to leave and go to Riga, which is where we flew out of and into. Riga is a big town. It's a beautiful city. But we went over to Liliana's house, who is Micah's mother, and everybody shows up. I mean, people we have seen here, people we've seen there. Some of them, a lot of them were in church that Sunday, but we went over there, and one family that we worked with 2 years ago, he's the one that smokes the chicken, best chicken I ever had in my life. And I told him so. Come to find out, that Sunday before we left, he had chicken. He had come an hour and a half. They live an hour and a half. A lot of times they Zoom because it's an hour and a half away. And but he came with brought that chicken. I swear that Americans cook chicken too hard. I mean, they too dry. You don't cook chicken till it's dry. But it's the best chicken I ever had. But anyway, he came and we all stood around in a circle after I ate 5 pieces of chicken. Didn't eat anything else, though. Just the 5 pieces of chicken. And we started talking about where we saw God. And there Micah's was, and Gabriel wasn't there, Eve was there, and all those. And I think, this is what it's about. This is, as Dean would say in service, this is church. All those people gathering together, and some of them hadn't been in church since we were there before. That's not up to me to decide. They came to see us because they were friends. I'll tell you one thing. If you ever saw God in a woman, you would see it in Lori Rollins while she's over there. She goes up to these people, can't speak a word of Latvian, they can't speak a word of English, and they hug and they talk. Lori had a problem with her hearing. It doesn't make any difference. God just does it. And they just thank the world of Lori Rollins over there. They just think and she is. She's a totally different person over there. She had a gift to go there. And Liz, here's the 13, 14-year-old girl. She gave one of the devotionals. It's just like she was meant to go. Laurie was meant to go. Randy, Jeff, Chad, they were all meant to go for a reason. Even old men like me, and I was the oldest one there. Yeah, I know the feeling there. I'm always the oldest one. But don't ever tell God that you're not unqualified to do something. And when you pray, listen, you ask. First thing you do in prayer, you thank God for all your blessings. The second time, and then you ask Him for this, that, or the other. And then you listen. You have to listen to God. You have to sit there, lay there, whatever you do when you pray. and listen to what God has to tell you to do. Because he has a job for every single person in this church. He has a job for us, or 3 or 4. He's a good God. And I got such a blessing from going on, and I don't know if I'll go back or not. I probably won't. I can say that now because Sandra left. I wouldn't say that in front of her. And if I want her to know it, I'll tell her myself. She'll probably listen to it on the video. But just remember, we all have a job to do. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the feet. God is the head. And I thank you for listening. That's it. Now, what time is it?
Do they have any plans to come back here?
Oh, any questions? I got 2 minutes. Huh?
Do they have any plans to come back here?
Well, the problem with them coming over here, it costs so much.
Yeah.
You know, for us to go over there, it doesn't cost as much as for them to come over here.
Okay.
So
They
that's
sure didn't enjoy coming.
yeah. But the church in Sace is doing well. They're still United Methodists, and that doesn't matter. But they're concerned about that very much. About the theology, the traditional, they call it traditional theology. And they have problems over there that we don't have over here with the government being recognized at the church and everything. And so, and I went through all that. Christina is a pastor, but she's not pastoring right now. And we talked for 3 hours about disaffiliation and everything. God's still talking to me about that, so I won't go into that. But yes, ma'am, Carol.
Yeah, excuse my ignorance, because I don't know where it's located as well as I should, but it being so close to Russia, is there any potential for any danger for them in any way?
They're worried sick.
It's past Ukraine
They
up north. Or
Latvia is due west. It's west. The east boundary of Latvia is Russia.
Yeah.
And the south, part of the south boundary is Belarus. And the people that know about Belarus know that Belarus is just whatever Russia tells them to do, they'll do. They're just a pawn for Russia. So yes, they have a big problem, real big. We need to pray for them on that too.
Didn't the pastor that came over here, the lady, didn't she have children or a child?
At that time, she didn't. Now she has
Yeah.
2. That's Christina.
Yeah.
That's Christina.
Little boy.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Russian generals,
Huh?
those Russian generals, they said that Putin, don't mess with Latvia. There's a cat from Texas there with a hat on him.
And Christine's father was a Russian soldier. Now this was just after World War II. So if history tells us that Russia was fighting with us really against Germany. Kinda.
Russia fights for Russia.
Yeah. Russia only fights for Russia, but her dad was a Russian soldier, and now he's a Methodist minister in Riga. Riga has 2 Methodist churches, Riga 1 and Riga 2. In Riga 2, he's the pastor, and we met him and talked to him at length one day when we were in Riga. And he asked about different stuff. There's another lady there, Gita. She used to be the DS. We met the DS. That's the DS now while we were there. And but they're you know, like I told Christina, I said, Christina, you only got one. You only have one question to answer. Do you believe in the Bible, or do you believe in worldly things? If you believe the Bible is the true Word of God, then that should be the key. And Gita, who's also high in the church still, 2 years ago, she said, "You Americans sure messed this up, didn't you?" And we did. All this stuff with United Methodist came from the United States. It didn't start over there or start in Africa. It started here. We're the ones that messed it up. But anyway, any more questions? Yeah, Jerry.
Are they still supported by the UNC?
No, I don't think so. They're not. They're supported by. Mainly, they're supported by the Friend of Latvia, which is a lot of Methodist churches and other churches in the United States. Quite a few in Tennessee and in Texas. The main churches are like us, and here, and in Tennessee, there's quite a few churches that support them.
What kind of transportation do they have over there?
Good.
You talked about walkers.
Good. Buses all over the place in Riga and in Sasis, there's buses all over the place. They're fixing to have a train from the airport at the hour and a half to get from Riga to Sasis. And at the hour and a half by van, we rented a van. And they got a train that they're building right now that goes from the airport to Sasis in 30 minutes. Their transportation is good. The pastor of Sasis lives in Riga, and she's also a, what's the word? She goes to the hospitals and chaplain. And to be a chaplain, you have to be one of those traditional churches to be a chaplain. And she's a chaplain, and she's part-time minister in Sasis, and she travels back and forth all the time.
You said that the Magdalene is participating in the churches, the women back a while ago, are the men being more participatory?
In 2 years, I saw the men being a lot more productive. There's not a lot of men, but the ones that are there, they're stepping up. There's one gentleman that drove us around everywhere we went, Arthas, and he stayed with us the whole time. And he works on a farm, or we'd call it a ranch over here, but it's like 400 or 500 acres. They call it different over there, I think what they call it, but it's 400 or 500 acres, and he took off work, and his dad owns the farm or the ranch. They have cows, and they have chickens, and they have everything, they raise hay and everything. And but he took off just to be with us, and drove around. It was neat. He's a nice, and he's actually the trustee that does all the work, a lot of the work in the parson. In the church also. Okay. Thank y'all. I got to go security.